Good evening and welcome back to Ego the Skill Provider. This is a written communications class and we are into something called preposition, right? So preposition is a very powerful tool to write or speak powerful English, right? Most of the time what happens, you guys are not sure how to speak or in English using preposition because preposition is absolutely a gray area. It is one of the gray areas where your focus is needed. It is required for everybody to give a lot of focus on it, right? So we are into something called preposition. And in a previous classes, I've already informed you a lot of things, right? So we have learned a lot of things. What are the things we have learned? We have learned how to use something called through, along. 1 minute, please. So we have a lot of things. One is called how exactly you can use through, along, something called, over, below, beneath, all the things. And most of the time, we are growing crazily wrong, right? But today, I'm also going to, this is, I think, third class of preposition. This is third class of preposition, and it's a very powerful thing. So I'm going to tell you today. Okay. I'm going to teach you today what is the difference between on and onto, in and into, and in time, on time, in good time. So let's learn something called on time, something called in time, something called in good time. On time, in time, in good time. These are three different prepositions. And what do you mean by that? Look, every official work or everything has been scheduled. This is the word, you might have heard it. So everything happens as per the timetable. Suppose you are an employee of an organization. You are supposed to go to the office at 10 o'clock. Suppose we are conducting a live online classes. We are supposed to start it by 8 o'clock, right? So everything starts at a particular time zone. It's not like that. You can come at any point of time. Suppose you are a teacher. You are supposed to venture into your area around something called 10 o'clock or before that. Suppose there is a train. So it has to come onto the platform on time. So there is a word called scheduled or scheduled. In American English, it is called scheduled. I am doing everything as per the schedule. Scheduling happens, right? So schedule is a very normal word, but the pronunciation differs. We sometimes can call it schedule or schedule. It can be scheduled. It can be scheduled. Scheduled is something called American English, whereas scheduled is British English. And we Indians use both of the things. Now let's try to understand on time, in time, and in good time. Everything happens as per the time period. Let me take an example. Suppose Tapasini ma'am is a teacher. Suppose she is a teacher by profession. Okay. So is a teacher by profession. This is my timeline. Everybody please look at here. Suppose the timing is 10 a.m. as per the government records. She has been instructed to come to the school at 10 o'clock. Right? So this is the school time for her. Suppose she has been instructed by the DO or anybody higher ranking official that you are supposed to reach office 10 o'clock at 10 o'clock. Suppose ma'am reaches exactly 10 o'clock. Then ma'am can say, I am on time. This is called on time. Okay. This is completely called on time. The moment, suppose here take an example of 9:45. then that is something called in time. This is called in time. You can say that I always reaches in school in time. That means before 10 o'clock. Your official timing is something called 10 a.m. So anything like that. Suppose let's take an example of our online classes. In our online classes, we conduct online classes sharp starting from 8 a.m. Sorry, 8 p.m. for you. So 8 p.m. whenever I want to give you the link or I want to send you the link. So if it is 8 a.m. sharp, then I can say it is on time. Before that, it is called in time. On time and in time is absolute. Sometimes you say we come here at right time, all the things. You are trying to do translation, and that is not the correct English. Let me tell you a little bit in Odia. ଆପଣ ମାନେ କୁହନ୍ତୁ ମୁଁ ଆଜି ଠିକ ସମୟରେ ଆସିଯାଇଛି ତ ଆପଣ ତାକୁ ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଲେସନ କରି କହିଦିଅନ୍ତି yes I always reached office at right time, sometimes correct time. Look, these are called translation method. That is not actual English. There is something called actual English. Remember, everybody, whenever I say actual English, it is spoken by the native speaker. That is called actual English. Spoken by the native speaker. There are two types of English we are trying to speak. One is spoken by the native speaker. What is a native speaker? The people of America and Britain, they use whatever the things that is called spoken by the native speaker. And we people, let's take an example like, Odisha, as a state. And there are close to 4.5 crore, I mean 4.5 crore citizens are living there. Okay. So out of which 5 lakhs people are using English, right? Out of which you take roughly around 1 lakh can speak English. So 1 lakh people can speak English means most of the time they are not using native speaker way. They are using translation process. ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ଛୋଟିଆ ଏକ୍ସାମ୍ପଲ ଦେବି ସପୋଜ ମୁଁ ପ୍ରତାପ ସାରଙ୍କୁ କହିଲି ସାର୍ ଆପଣ ସବୁଦିନ ତ ରାଇଟ୍ ଟାଇମରେ ଆସି ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି ଆଉ ତ ଯଦି ମୁଁ ତାକୁ ଇଂଲିଶରେ କହିବି ସମଟାଇମ୍ସ ଆଇ କ୍ୟାନ୍ ସେ ସାର୍ ଅଲୱେଜ କମ୍ସ ଆଟ୍ ରାଇଟ୍ ଟାଇମ ସୋ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ ସମଥିଙ୍ଗ କଲ୍ଡ ମୁଁ ଠିକ ସମୟରେ ଆସୁଛି ଠିକ ମାନେ ରାଇଟ୍ ଅର କରେକ୍ଟ ଆମେ କଣ ଏଇ ଉତ୍ତରଟା ଠିକ ଅଛି ଦିସ୍ ଇଜ ଦ କରେକ୍ଟ ଆନ୍ସର এই উত্তরটা ভুল ଅଛି দিସ୍ ଇଜ ରଙ୍ଗ ଆନ୍ସର ତ ରଙ୍ଗ ଆଣ୍ଡ ରାଇଟ ର ଅର୍ଥ ଆମେ ସେଇଟାକୁ ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଲେସନ କରିକି କହିଦଉଛେ ଯେ ପ୍ରତାପ ସାର୍ ଅଲୱେଜ ରିଚେସ୍ right time. I am always correct time. But remember, my friend, this is completely wrong as compared to the native speaker. There is nothing called correct time and right time. It is something called in time or on time. So always say, I'm always on time. Or you can say, I'm always in time. So in time means before schedule, your official program has been given to you. Suppose you are going to attend a meeting. Take the example of Subhas, suppose Sukul sir. So Sukul sir is a professional and his official timing is 10 o'clock. So whenever there is a punch system everywhere, whether it's private office and government organization. So I have seen a lot of time because I always work with punching time. So yeah, there is a punch time, like the punch time at sharp 10 a.m. Then I can say I'm always on time. That is on time. That is called on time, means right time, as per the schedule, as per the timetable. If I'm coming before that, that is something called in time. So this is the difference between in time and on time. Don't use something called correct time, right time. There is nothing called correct time, right time. These are all some things we are using a lot of translation process and which is absolutely wrong. Now it's clear to everybody? Yes or no? ଆପଣ ମାନେ ବୁଝିପାରୁଛନ୍ତି? Sukul sir, are you getting my point? Dev sir, Tapaswini ma'am, Pratap sir, everybody.
Yes, sir, understood, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
So that is more important. ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ଆପଣ ମାନଙ୍କୁ କହିଦଉଛି ମୁଁ why I'm worried because I know a lot of people are using translation process trying to speak English, which is absolutely wrong. Why it is wrong? Because that is not the right way to speak English. ଆପଣ preposition ବ୍ୟବହାର କରୁଛନ୍ତି it is completely a written English. ତ written class ଟାକୁ ମୁଁ spoken way ରେ କାହିଁ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ପଢଉଛି? Because in lot of time you guys are making mistake. ଆପଣ ଏମିତି କହୁଛନ୍ତି ମୁଁ ଶୁଣିଛି I have already because ଆପଣ ଯେତେବେଳେ କାଲି ଇଣ୍ଟରଭ୍ୟୁ ଦେବେ କାଲି ଗୋଟେ ପୁରା ଗୋଟେ ଗୋଟେ ପେଡେଷ୍ଟାଲ ଉପରେ କିଛି କହିବେ ଯଦି ଆପଣ କହିବେ everything happens at right time. Look, right time, wrong time, all the things, there is nothing called. It is on time or in time. Whenever something happens, suppose ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଅଫିସ ଟାଇମ, suppose ଆପଣଙ୍କର ମିଟିଂ I am your boss and you all are my employees. So for example, ମୁଁ କହିଥିଲି ଆଜି 10 ରେ ଆମେ ମିଟିଂ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କରିବା ବୋଲି. Right now it's sharp 10 ହେଇଗଲାଣି. So I can guys, it's time for us to start the meeting. ତ ସେଇଠି ମୁକ୍ତିକାନ୍ତ ସାର୍ କହିବେ ଆଜି ପୁରା କରେକ୍ଟ ସମୟରେ ହେଲା. ଏଇଟା ଓଡ଼ିଆରେ ସେ କହିଥିଲେ. ଆଜି ଠିକ ସମୟରେ ଆଜି ଆମର ମିଟିଂଟା ହେଲା. ତ ଯଦି ସାର୍ ମତେ ସେଇ କଥାଟା ପଚାରିବେ, ସପୋଜ I was completely absent due to my illness, ତ ମୁଁ ସାର୍ଙ୍କୁ ଫୋନ କରିବି, ହ୍ୟାଲୋ ସାର୍, did the meeting happens today? Yes sir, meeting happens today. And when did the meeting happens? At correct time, at right time. So that's a problem. That means we are not using the right English word. That is called on time or in time. If you say sir after time, it's late. We are late by 5 minutes. But before that, if it is sharp 10 am, that is called on time, and there is some in time means before that, right? Suppose our timing was suppose 10 o'clock. We started the meeting by 9:45, 9:50, 9:30 like that. Then we can say our meeting starts, something called always starts at in time. I require everybody should join here in time. Guys, be on time. Be on time. Most of the time you can say be punctual. That's the meaning. But if you're trying to go in a, in a, American way, people always say be on time. Look, this kind of is not tolerated. Means be punctual. Be on time. On time. On time. So that's very important. So on time and in time, there's a difference. And whenever I say in good time, that's an American expression. That's a completely American expression. And whenever you say, I always attend the meeting in time, in good time, I always reaches office in good time. That means you mean to say that it is equal to in and in good time. There is no difference. Look, in time and in good time, there is no difference. But this is something called a diplomatic way, or you can say this is a corporate way of speaking English. Basically, ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ corporate English ବ୍ୟବହାର କରୁଛୁ, suppose you are working in an IT professional, or you can say you are a inspector, something like that in the office setup, right? So how people used to say, I'm always in good time. That means where I say in good time, it's exactly in time. In time and in good time, there is no big difference. There is absolutely no big difference. But yes, it is somewhat more, it is very, very common, and this is very uncommon as far as Indians are concerned. Most people is like in time, but in good time, basically you can find out a lot of native speakers. I'm always in good time. I'm always in good time. I always reaches office in good time. So whenever I say in good time, there's no question of any important message or in important events you are going to miss. So in a sense, you can say in time and in good time, there is absolutely no big difference. Absolutely. In absolute sense, you can say there is a difference, absolutely no difference. But yes, this is how you can express yourself. In syllabus, you can find it in time. Those who are studying, but in you're trying to speak English, better in good time. Hey guys, I always attend the meeting in good time, on time or in good time. That's how exactly you can speak. If you're trying to say in time, there is absolutely no wrong. So in a sense, you can say in time and in good time, they're almost equal. They're almost equal. Here only good is there, and in time and good time. But let me tell you, this has been used for a long in the corporate environment. You become a corporate citizen working in a very multinational company like Google, Microsoft, all the things, like any software firm. People say, be on time or in good time. I'm always do everything's on good time. So in good time is a more pronounced, words, or it has been used plenty in most of the in our conversation. So this is very important, on time, in time, or in good time. So both are same. Okay. So you can say there is no difference. This and this you can use it, and this is sharp, and this is before that. Now this is clear to everybody. Yes or no? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, everybody. Mohan sir, Sukul sir.
Sir, I'm later join. Sir, on time ta sir good word.
Okay, sir. On time. Whenever I say on time, let me give you, sir. Let me give you an example. Suppose you are a government employee, sir. 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. You are reaching office. 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 तो आपण को कह दिछि 10 रे आसी के आपण you have to reach office at 10 o'clock. This is your official timing. So whenever you say sharp 10 o'clock रे आपण reach करूछंती, you forget about that. Suppose आपण गोटे रेलवे टिकेट किनछंती and the railway ticket Rajdhani Express you are trying to move to Delhi. तो दिल्ली रे आपण जीवा पई मॉर्निंग 6टा 45 रे अछि. This is your something called official time. This is the time. This is called arrival time of the train. Okay, this is called arrival time of the train. This is called arrival time. So this is called 6:45. The train has supposed to come to the station, and exactly at 6:45 there is an announcement in the railway station. Your train has arrived. Then you can say the train is on time. Are you getting my point, sir? Sharp 6:45 a.m. your train arrives on the platform. Then you can say my train is on time. This is the time has been printed on your ticket. This is the arrival time and this is the departure time. So there should be some time frame will be there. It's not like that you are getting a ticket without time period. So for everything and these things, whether you are travel by flight or travel by train, so everything there is an arrival time of that particular things. So take the example of arrival time in train. If the arrival time is 6:45, it has been printed on the ticket, and obviously you are going to the station before that, and you can say I catch the train at 6:45 a.m. or the train reaches the station or arrives at the station at 6 sharp 6:45 a.m. Then you can say it's on time. This is called on time. So before that, if it comes at 6:40, 6:35, so 10 minutes before something, that is called in time. Now this is clear, sir? It's clear?
Clear, sir. Clear.
Okay. So this is, very important concept. I request everybody to understand it and use it appropriately. That's very important. Okay. So on time, and there is nothing called right time. Don't use it right time. ମୁଁ ଠିକ ସମୟରେ ଆଜି ଆସି ଯାଇଛି ତ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ଗୋଟେ ଇନଷ୍ଟ୍ରକ୍ସନ ଦିଆ ହେଇଥିଲା ଆପଣ ଠିକ ସମୟରେ ଆସିଛନ୍ତି ବୋଲି ଆପଣ କହିବେ ଡୋଣ୍ଟ ସେ ଇଟ ରାଇଟ ଆଣ୍ଡ କରେକ୍ଟ ଆମେ ଯୋଉଟା ୟୁଜ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ଆମେ ୟୁଜ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଲେସନ ପ୍ରୋସେସ ନାହିଁ ଡୋଣ୍ଟ ୟୁଜ ଦ୍ୟାଟ ଆଇ ଏମ୍ ରିପିଟେଡଲି ଟେଲିଂ ୟୁ ମାଇ ଫ୍ରେଣ୍ଡସ୍ there is nothing called right time in spoken English ଆପଣ ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଲେସନ କରି କହିବେ ଯେ ଏଟା ମୁଁ ଠିକ ଅଛି ବୋଲି ଆପଣ ସବୁ କଥା ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଲେସନ କଲେ କଣ ତାର ଇଂଲିଶ ର ଭ୍ୟାଲ୍ୟୁ ଅଛି a lot of people say a lot of things but that is not actually valid whenever trying to speak English it should be perfect why there are two expressions are there on time in time I always reaches on time I always reaches in time କିନ୍ତୁ ଆମେ କଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ନା ଓଡ଼ିଆ ସବୁ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ଗୋଟିଏ ୱାର୍ଡ ଟାକୁ ଇଂଲିଶ କହୁଛନ୍ତି କେମିତି ମୁଁ କରେକ୍ଟ ସମୟରେ ପହଞ୍ଚୁଛି କାଇଁ ଆପଣ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ଠିକ ସମୟ ପହଞ୍ଚୁଛି ଠିକ ର ଓଡ଼ିଆ ଟା କଣ ଇଂଲିଶ ଟା କଣ ନା କରେକ୍ଟ or right ଆମେ କହୁଛେ ଏଟା ଠିକ ଅଛି এই ଉତ୍ତରଟେ ଠିକ ଅଛି this is a correct answer ତ ଠିକ ମାନେ କରେକ୍ଟ ଏଇଟା ଆପଣ ମୁଣ୍ଡରେ ରହିଗଲା ତ ଆପଣ ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଲେସନ କଲେ ମୁଁ କରେକ୍ଟ ସମୟରେ ପହଞ୍ଚ ଯାଉଛି ତ କରେକ୍ଟ ଟାଇମ नो this is not right ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଲେସନ କରନ୍ତୁନି and this is one of the lacuna that you guys are facing ତ ଆପଣ କହିବେ every time it is on time or in time that's all I feel it's pretty clear to you yes or no ଆପଣ ବୁଝି ପାରୁଛନ୍ତି everybody yes or no Dev sir, Ramnath sir, Muktikant sir, Raju sir, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Clear?
sir.
Okay. Okay, very good. So right now, if this is clear, let me take a screenshot if possible. I am going to give you another difference and that's quite interesting also. Okay. I'm going to give two different other words also today. So let me give you another example of, look, ମୁଁ ଯୋଉ ଜିନିଷଟା ଆଜି କହୁଛି that is you this is a written class କାହିଁକିନା ମୁଁ ପ୍ରିପୋଜିସନ ପଢଉଛି କିନ୍ତୁ ଯେହେତୁ it is a combined class for written and spoken ଆପଣ most of the time whenever you try to use it ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଲାଇଫ ରେ ଏଇ ଜିନିଷଟା ଆପଣ ୟୁଜ କରିବେ ପ୍ରିପୋଜିସନ there is a common thing right ଆପଣ ଯେମିତି ଜାଣୁଛନ୍ତି ବାପା ମା they are common ଆପଣ କହିପାରିବେନି ସିଏ ମୋ ବାପା ସିଏ ମୋ ମା like if suppose I have two brothers it's a common things like तार बापा मोर भी बापा जेमती हमें कहउछंती exactly preposition is very common to written English and spoken English okay so this is very common to written English and spoken English Okay, you cannot say, sir, can I say that is written English ପାଇଁ ଗୋଟେ preposition ଅଛି and spoken English ପାଇଁ preposition ଅଛି? Absolutely no. There is nothing called preposition wise. There is no issue on that one. Let me tell you, both are equal. तमाने जो preposition आप written English रे व्यवहार करिवे, the same preposition with the same rules, with the same setup, with all the rules and regulation you are going to use in spoken English. So be careful. ସେଥିପାଇଁ ମୁଁ କହିଲି ଯେ ଆପଣ ତାକୁ ଅଧିକ ଧ୍ୟାନ ଦିଅନ୍ତୁ କାହିଁକି ନା whenever you are trying to speak English, ଆଜି ମୁଁ ଦେଖିବି ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ଦେଖେଇଦେବି, you guys are making a lot of mistakes. କୋଉଠି mistakes ଟା କରୁଛନ୍ତି ମୁଁ ଆଜି ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ଦେଖେଇଦେବି. Okay, so let me give an example. Suppose ଆପଣ କହିବେ ଯେ I have 4 children. I have 4 children. I have 4 children. Okay, so let me give an example. I have 4 children and something called I have divided a cake in 4 pieces. So this sentence is correct, but whether the sentence is correct or wrong, tell me using preposition. Here something called in is there. I have divided a cake, not cook, cake, in 4 pieces. Suppose you brought a cake and आपण ताको divide करदेले, चारिटा piece रे divide करछंती, and you are trying to say these things. I have divided the cake, a cake, in 4 pieces. Whether the sentence is correct or wrong, please tell me. And there you can understand the importance of preposition in your life. Everybody, Muktikan sir, Mohan sir, Sukul sir, Tapaswini ma'am, Pratap sir, Ramnath sir, Rajesh sir, Devjani ma'am, Pratap sir, everybody, please speak it out. If I say I have divided a cake in 4 pieces, whether the sentence is correct or wrong. It looks pretty, I mean, okay to you, right? Apan bhabuchanti sentence are wrong actually, no. It appears absolutely right to you. Yes or no? Apan ठीक ठाक लागुची ना नहीं? अपन को इटा wrong लागुची कि I have divided the cake in 4 pieces.
ନାଇଁ wrong ଲାଗୁଛି ଆଜ୍ଞା।
Wrong लागुची, what is the wrong thing?
सर ठीक लागुची सर।
Okay, ठीक लागुची, okay, fine. अपन लागुची ठीक बोले, fine. And other things, other guys, please can you speak to me? Others, देखंदो. It looks I have divided a cake in 4 pieces. Obviously, the sense appears absolutely correct. But let me tell my friends, this is completely wrong. This is completely wrong. Why? Instead of in, you are supposed to use into. You are supposed to use into. Why? The question is that why? Whenever I say I am supposed to use into, I have divided a cake into 4 pieces. What is the meaning of into? And that's the exact things I am going to teach you. What is the difference between in and into, on and onto? And most of the time, you guys are making billions of mistakes there. It's a blunder. We don't use in and onto. We are always using in. What is into and onto? Let me divide this. It's very important concept, my friends, because upon the English कहउछंती, most of the time you never use into and onto. Whether it is a written communication, like we are getting a lot of question. Jodi upon kichi like SBI exam ho, banking exam ho, UPSC exam ho, a lot of time preposition comes through onto and into, and you don't know what the exact meaning of onto and into. And I'm going to examine it today for you. And the sentence is wrong, and you are supposed to write it into. I have divided a cake into 4 pieces, but I'm in 4 pieces most of the time, because we are trying follow or we rely most of the time translation process. ମୁଁ ଚାରିଟା ଭାଗରେ ବିଭକ୍ତ କରିଛି, ରେ ମାନେ in. That is the problem. କୌଣସି ଇଂଲିଶ ଲୋକ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ କହିନାହାନ୍ତି ରେ ମାନେ in. ଆପଣ ନିଜେ ନିଜେ ଇନଭେଣ୍ଟ କରି କହୁଛନ୍ତି ସେଟାକୁ. You check out the books where it has been written. जे रे माने in. It's not like that. जदि रे माने in, then आपण काई कहउछंती मु गोटे Like, whenever I'm trying to cut something with a knife, no, it's not like that. Preposition try to learn it from a native perspective. गोटे नेटिव स्पीकर जेमती प्रिपोजिशन यूज करे मु कहि देछि नेटिव स्पीकर माने पीपल ऑफ अमेरिका एंड पीपल ऑफ ब्रिटेन से माने जेमती यूज करंती आमे से हुला वे यूज करिया and that is the right way, right procedure, right technique, or you can say right approach, right? So if the approach is correct, when the technique is correct, obviously you can learn a lot of things. Let's discuss something called into and onto. In versus into. What is the difference between in and into? Okay, very interesting. Something called in and into. In is something called, it denotes the position. This is something called a position, right? And into denotes the movement. This is called movement. I give you plenty of examples with live example. I'm going to give a live example. Look, suppose what I did most of the time. ଆପଣ କଣ କରିଛନ୍ତି କହିଲେ? All gents କଥା ମୁଁ କହୁଛି, ladies ମାନଙ୍କ କଥା କହୁନି. Ramnath sir ହୁଅନ୍ତୁ, Rajesh sir ହୁଅନ୍ତୁ, like Mohan sir ହୁଅନ୍ତୁ, Pratap sir ହୁଅନ୍ତୁ. Suppose this is a pen. I do have a pen with me. Okay. So this is a pen with me. Okay. ତ ଆମେ କଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ଆମେ କିଛି ଲେଖିଲେ. I'm trying to explain it in Oriya. Situation. Translation ମୁଁ କରୁନି, situation ଦଉଛି. ଆପଣ କଣ, ଆପଣ କିଛି ଲେଖି ଦିଅନ୍ତି, then ଆପଣ ଏମିତି ରଖି ଦିଅନ୍ତି. This is my pocket. Okay. It looks very white because this is a background is white and I'm wearing a white shirt because of this heat wave. So I'm putting like this, and that is common for everybody. So what exactly I'm doing, can anybody can tell me what exactly I'm doing? I am putting a pen into my pocket, not in my pocket, into my pocket. Look, this is the pen, I take it out, right, and I write it some things. Then what I did, then I put into my pocket. This is called put into. Why? This is a movement. Look at the things. This is a different medium. This is another medium. I put into. This is called put into. This is movement happens. ମୁଁ କୋଉଠି ରଖିଥିଲି ଆପଣ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ, check it out once more. Right now you can say it is in my pocket. Look, it is not showing anything. It's in my pocket. It is in my pocket right now. It's in my pocket. I put it, or I take it out and write something, and look at movement happens. Movement happens. Without movements, will it go? If I put it here like this, it cannot go. So I have to move it. I have to give a thrust. I have to move it. This is called movement. Mane gati karuchi. Okay, it's going to the movement, and I put it here. This is called into. This is called into. So let me give another example. I have a cup. You can check it out. I have a cup here. Okay, so I have put it here. This is called, I am putting this what do you call, anything like that, so liquid is there, into. This is called into. Look, not in, into. Movement happening. ଆପଣ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ, ଆପଣ most of the time you are ignoring the movement. ଏଇ ହାତରେ ଏଟା ଥିଲା, ଏଠିକି ଆସିବ କେମିତି, ବିନା movement ରେ ଆସିବ କି, ଆପଣ କହିବେ ନା. So obviously movement happens. Then you can say, let's put this particular bottle, small plastic bottle, into the cup, because movement happens. Without movements, how can go? The movement, binna movement re mu kemi jibo eta apon mate kuhuntu. It is right now in my right hand and it is my left hand. So unless until I try to do a movement, it will not go. So this is called, I'm trying to put the plastic small bottle, tiny plastic bottle, into the cup. Now it's clear to you. Are you getting my point? Yes or no? ଆପଣ ବୁଝି ପାରୁଛନ୍ତି everybody? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So this is something called into. This is a movement happens, but you guys never use into. ଆପଣ କୋଉଠି ବ୍ୟବହାର କରୁଛନ୍ତି into? And that's why you're going horrible wrong. ଆପଣ ବୁଝନ୍ତୁ actually. You are trying to do a lot of translation most of the time, and I am not a believer of translation process. And this is killing your creativity in spoken English. ଯଦି ଆପଣ ଯେମିତି ରାମନାଥ ସାର୍ ସଦାବେଳେ କୁହନ୍ତି, ସାର୍, why exactly we are not able to speak like you? Because I don't rely on translation. and you guys rely most on translation. You are killing your creativity. जो creativity आसवा कथा आपनकर mind रे English कहिबार सेटा because you are going for मु गोटे कप रे एटा रखिली रे माने बाय इन की आपन कहिछि रे माने इन because you are going absolutely you are making blunder most of the time. So this is something called into. This is called into. Okay, suppose we have a drawer. You have a drawer, you are trying to put something. I am trying to put the key into the drawer because you are putting inside and movement happens. This is called into. So let me tell you something called, so here check it out. Here something called here position. I can tell you I am in my office. I am in my office. Suppose I am outside right now. I am outside. I can say, just wait for 5 minutes. I am moving into my office. I am moving into my office. That means I am outside right now, and this is my chamber. I am entering. So whenever I enter, that is called move into, right? So movement happens, that is called move into. So one, because I was outside, I'm coming inside. So obviously there is a movement. You can give countless example. Okay. So you can say like I am walking into the conference hall. So what is more important? Look, here is this conference hall. This is the conference hall, and you are right now here. Okay, and you are trying to enter it. So this is called walking into. You are walking. You are trying to walk into. So that's very important. Whenever you are outside or you're in a different room, you are trying to enter another room. That is called into. So into refers to movement. That's very important. And remember, there are certain verbs you can use with into. କିଛି verbs ଅଛି ଆପଣ ସେଇଠି into ଲଗେଇବେ. What are the verbs? Something called walk, something called put, something called jump, okay, something called dive. I'll explain it. And something called what dive, and something called jump, drive, or you can say put. Yeah, put is there. And what fall. Okay, another is called fall. So with walk, this is called movement verb. These are called movement verb. Apan dekhantu walk. Whenever you're walking, you are trying to show a movement. Putting means like no, I'm putting a pen into my pocket. This is called put. I'm putting. Look at the movement happens. I have to move it. This is called put into. Jump, you are trying to jump, right? You are jumping into. Dive means whenever you know divers are there. Upon the pani ko jump karanti. So you are trying to change the medium. Movement happens. I am dive into the water. He dives into the water. And fall. Obviously, fall means it is something called falling. It is movement. So with the movement, walk into, put into, jump into, dive into, and fall into. Sometimes you say, don't jump into the conclusion. ଧରନ୍ତୁ ଜଣେ କିଏ ଗୋଟେ ଲୋକ ହଠାତ୍ କନକ୍ଲୁଜନ କଥା କହି ଦଉଛି, ଆପଣ କହିଲେ ଆର୍ ୟୁ ଗୋଇଂ ଟୁ ହାଭ୍ ୟୁ ଏକ୍ସାମିନ୍ ଦ କେସ୍? नो सर. Then why you are jumping into the conclusion? Jumping into the conclusion. तो आपण कहबे जे सर जंप टू द कंक्लूजन. रॉन्ग. आपण आपणको भलिया इंग्लिश कहंतुनी. देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड नेटिव स्पीकर. Try to understand. We are trying to copy them all. And who are they? The American people and the British guys. The British and American people have a lot of way to use it. Hey, where did the guy? I think she has gone into that room. Gone into, walk into. Just wait. I'm walking into the room. But most of the time you are not using into because you are not showing the movement. Hey, where did you put the pocket? Let me put it into. Suppose you know. Suppose I am what exactly? Suppose I have a card. I have a visiting card. So suppose it's there right now. It is somewhere. It is there. So what I have to do, I have to put into my purse. So what I can say, I am putting into. It is inside. I am putting into because it is there and putting into. Hey, put all your money into the bag or money purse, something like that you see. So into, its movement happens. So whenever it's walk, put, jump, dive, fall, that is something called into. But whereas in something called position, that's all. Where is he? He is right now in the chamber. So let me move into the chamber. Let me dive into the water. Oh my God, he falls into the room and he's walking into the room or he's putting something into the pocket. Now this is clear. Are you getting my point? So in denote something called position. It's only says a position. Position means place. It's just like where he is right now. He's in the office. In the office. I'm in the school. But whenever I am walking into the school, it is showing my movement. That's very important. Okay. Now this is clear to everybody. Yes or no? ଆପଣ ବୁଝିପାରୁଛନ୍ତି ସମସ୍ତେ?
Yes, sir.
Clear? So cool,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Taposin, everybody.
Sir,
Yeah,
means
please.
Sir, in a particular sense, I am in office. That means I'm good office ଭିତରେ ହିଁ ଅଛି.
ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ
ମାନେ particular
ଆପଣ
sense,
no no no
particular
ଆପଣ
sense ଟାକୁ
yes
ବୁଝଉଛି.
yes
ମାନେ
ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ
this pen
yes
is in my pocket. ମାନେ ଗୋଟେ
ହଁ
particular ମୋ pocket ଭିତରେ ହିଁ ଅଛି. ମାନେ
exactly
particular sense କୁ ବୁଝଉଛି. ଯଦି ମୁଁ
absolutely
pen ଟା ସାରେ writing କରୁଛି, then that time we will putting the pen, then we call the into my pocket.
absolutely that's the things ଏ ଯୋଉ traditional English ଟା ଆମେ use କରୁନାହାନ୍ତି. Hey, what you are doing with the pocket? Let me put into it first. ଆମେ କଣ କହୁଛେ ପ୍ରଥମେ ମୁଁ ରଖିଦିଏ ଆଗ। ତ ସପୋଜ ୟୁ ନୋ ଆପଣ ମାନଙ୍କର ଅନେକ ଗୁଡେ ପଇସା ହାତରେ ଧରିଛନ୍ତି ଆପଣ କଣ କୁହନ୍ତି ସପୋଜ ଆଇ ଏମ୍ ୟୋର ବ୍ରଦର ଏ ପଇସାଟା ସେ ପର୍ସରେ ରଖିଦିଅ କାଇଁ ହୋଲ୍ଡିଂ ଇଟ୍ ହ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ ଡୋଣ୍ଟ ପୁଟ୍ ମନି ହ୍ୟାଣ୍ଡ ପୁଟ୍ into the purse put into the purse something like that it is right now in my pocket that's what exactly I'm telling you it is in my pocket it is outside right now let me put into the pocket now clear everybody okay so that's very important okay so apart from that I have a problem with you and you guys are using a lot of problems okay how would they come to ଯଦି ଏଇଟା true ହୁଏ sometimes say I am entering into the room whether the sentence will be correct or wrong can anybody can tell me whether the sentence is correct or wrong I am entering I'm sorry I'm entering I'm entering into the room whether the sentence is correct or wrong
sir ଆପଣ କହିନ୍ତି sir sentence କାରଣ ଯେଟା ଗୋଟେ movement ଅଛି enter କରୁଛି
okay
ଏଟା entering ଆପଣ କହିବା ଅନୁସାରେ entering ଟା include ହେଇପାରେ କିନ୍ତୁ ଆପଣ କହିବାର meaning ଅଲଗା ହେଇଥାଇପାରେ
no it's like that ଆପଣ ଯାହା ଭାବୁଛନ୍ତି କୁହନ୍ତୁ ନା forget about me whenever I put question obviously a lot of thought process goes into my mind ତ ମୁଁ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ କହିବା କଥା ଯେ ଆପଣ ଭାବିକି କୁହନ୍ତୁ okay everybody ମୁକ୍ତିକାନ୍ତ sir ପ୍ରତାପ sir ତପସ୍ୱିନୀ ma'am ମୋହନ sir
yeah, correct, sir.
this is correct okay
Including
I'm entering the room.
I'm entering into the room correct okay it's correct everybody
now sir এটা correct হবে কারণ I am entering in the room হবনি sir I am entering into the room
okay fine Mohan sir you are trying to say something
I am entering the room.
entering into the room correct everybody is correct
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
okay this is correct for you but for me this wrong then you can say sir why this happens you just give an example here ଆପଣ ଏବେ କହୁଥିଲେ ଯେ ମୋମେଣ୍ଟ ରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ହଉଛି ଆପଣ ଟିକେ mute କରନ୍ତୁ ଓକେ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ମୁଁ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ କହିଲି ଯେ actually when there is a movement walk put jump dive all the things you can say that is something called into you can use but I say I am entering into the room but why this is wrong and this was an SBI question in 1918
No, this is contradiction, sir.
yeah
Contradiction.
So this is the contradiction. What is, there is nothing called enter into. Enter means, look at the things. What do you mean by enter? Enter means move into. Tala into kay lageba. Apun au gote word कहଥିଲି return. Something called come back. Apun most of the time use करंती कौन? Apun कौन use करंती ना return back. So return back ta wrong. Yes or no? Return back is wrong. This is called comeback or return. So the enter. I am trying to enter the room. Enter the room. Not enter into the room. So the right answer will be I may enter. You have to take it out. Into. You have to take it out. So enter means move into. Return means come. ଆମେ ବହୁତ ଜାଗାରେ ଆପଣ ଦେଖିଥିବେ ଲୋକମାନେ କହନ୍ତି I'll return back soon. Return. What is return back? Either back or come back or return. There is nothing called return back. Eita nahi boli kichhi, return back boli kichhi nahi. Sometimes we will use with this one. Return back. I'll return back. Eita besi loko ବ୍ୟବହାର କରନ୍ତି return back. But this is completely wrong. Either it is called return means move into or come back. Return back mane come back. I'll come back very soon. I'll back very soon. You can say return back boli kichhi nahi. So these are additional things happens most of the time. Exactly, enter means move into. So don't say I am entering the room. Don't say I am enter into the room. That's wrong. They enter into an agreement. Wrong. They enter an agreement. So most of the time we are using enter into. Don't use it. That's very interesting. So let me put a star mark. Enter into is wrong. This is a wrong sentence. Okay. So there is something called, this is the things you have to, okay, with the verb walk, put, jump, dive and fall. These 5 verbs you can use into. But with the enter you cannot use because itself shows move into. This is called move into. Okay. Or you can use another move into. Walk, put, jump, dive, fall, all the words you can put into, and enter into is absolutely wrong. Okay, you can say enter. Now this is clear to everybody? Yes or no? Clear?
Sir, एबली टाइप रो आउ सर सेमति किछ क्वेश्चन अछि एंटरिंग टाइप
नहीं आपनकर गोटे एंटर वर्ड टा अछि सर एंटर वर्ड टा माने कोन मूवमेंट होछि ना तो आपन कहि देबे एंटर माने तो मूवमेंट सर व्हाई यू आर नॉट गोइंग फॉर द इनटू but because you enter माने मूव इनटू so that's why and other is called return back बोली किछ नहीं it is return I'll return soon I'll return आमे को कहूचे will return back soon most of the time you are using wrong English and when we are trying to speak English should be grammatically compatible yes or no आपण बुझी पड़छन everybody yes or no clear
Yes, sir.
okay if it is clear let me use other things for you and this is very important another things I want to tell you you are supposed to use into in other position also au kisi jaga re apna use karibe very interesting and important also okay and that's going to be an eye opener for you okay into also use mu kahithili movement re and whenever you are trying to change the shape or it is going for a change into is you whenever you are trying to change or change or change of structure into is also used for change or change of structure so let me give an example I have divided the property or you can say I have divided the cake the same example into 4 pieces check it out here I have a cake a big cake was with me and I cut it off and change so change happens change of structure happen it is a structure shape it was in shape in a like no I can call it a you can call it how It is something called the ring structure, and you are trying to cut in 4 different pieces. So I have divided the cake into 4 pieces. That's one thing. In other way, you can say also, you can give a lot of examples. Okay, the book has been translated. The book has been translated into 4 or like 12 different Indian languages. So here I have a book which has been translated into ame kahuje how it is translated. Is it translated into? Because it was a structure. Suppose it was in Malayalam, it's an Oriya. Suppose take an example of Pratibha Roy. Pratibha Roy is a very well-known Indian author, right? Manoj, lot of people are there. So they have their own Sudhamurti, Narayan Krishnamurti, Sudhamurti, like no. So he is a writer also. So most of the time he writes in Kannada, sometimes write in English. So not every people can understand English. That's why it has been translated into. So there are few words. There are certain words, town, translate, something called divide. Okay. Other is called, change. Always use into. That's very important. Okay. It is turned into something. Our good friendship turned into a bad one. That is change of structure happens. It was translated into English, not in English. Most of the time you are telling, sir, any good books are available in English? Huh? I have written a book in Odia and I'm trying to translate into English. Okay. And it's divided into 4 groups, 5 groups. It's changed into all the things you are supposed to use something called into. Now this is clear to everybody? Yes or no? Apan bujhi paruchanti? Clear? Yes or no? Mohan sir, Sukul sir, Subhashini ma'am, Tapasini ma'am, everybody please speak up.
Yes, sir.
Clear? So that's very important. Look at the things. Dekhon, apanku ebe bi gote katha kohuchi. Don't ignore these small words. Jodi apano translate lekhantu. Manekar Ramnath sir kahile, sir, I have divided the cake in 4 pieces. Kichi jana pailani. I have divided the cake into 4 pieces. Kichi bi jana pailani. हाँ सेटा कौन पाई जଣା पइलानी बाकी आपण माने नेटिव स्पीकर नुहंती आपण ओडिया रो इंग्लिश रे करूछन सब समय रे तो इन एंड इनटू भीतर आपण डिफरेंस के जଣା पड़िबनी बट यू आर ट्राइंग टू स्पीक करेक्ट इंग्लिश मो कथा बुझन एक्यूरेसी इज 100%. दिस इज कॉल्ड ग्रामेटिकली कंपैटिबल सेंटेंस. आ आपण जे कोन से जगह लिखिबे आपण गोटे मार्क देखंतु आपण जे गोटे एग्जाम लिखुछंती ए भला इंग्लिश आपण लिखिबे nobody is going to, she should have a sense of respect for you, first of all. Suppose I am the invigilator, I am just checking your notes and you are writing everything, all the preposition has been, using correctly. So I should have a sense of respect. This guy must be a brilliant student. Whenever you're trying to speak English, also whenever you're using a lot of things, most people not using preposition correctly. We are into. Sometimes you are not using into. We are going for an arrangement, something like that. You are using a lot of, ମୁଁ କହିଛି ନା preposition ଟା ଗୋଟେ ଏମିତି ଗୋଟେ ଜିନିଷ ଯୋଉଟା କି ଆପଣଙ୍କର like change sentence ର meaning ଟା change କରିଦେବ. କିନ୍ତୁ ଆପଣ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ସାର୍ ଆମେ ତ କିଛି ଜାଣି ପାରୁନୁ because you are not habituated using correct preposition. ଆଜି ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଆପଣ into it was ଆପଣ କହୁଛନ୍ତି his book has been translated in English. No, into English. ଆପଣଙ୍କ ସାର୍ ଏନି ଇଣ୍ଟୁ ଭିତରେ that's the problem. ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ନେଟିଭ ସ୍ପିକର ନୁହନ୍ତି, ଆମେ ହେଲେ ନନ୍ ନେଟିଭ ସ୍ପିକର. ଆମର ମାତୃଭାଷା ହଉଛି ଓଡିଆ, ଆମେ ଇଂଲିଶ ଟା ଶିଖିବା ପାଇଁ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରୁଛନ୍ତି. ସୋ ଗୋଟେ ନେଟିଭ ସ୍ପିକର ଯେମିତି ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ଆମେ ଯେମିତି ଓଡିଆଟା ଜାଣିଛେ ତାର ଭାବଟା ଯେମିତି ଆମେ ଜାଣିପାରିବା ଆଉ ବେଷ୍ଟ ଲୋକ କେହି ପୃଥିବୀରେ ନାହାନ୍ତି ଯେ କି ଓଡିଆକୁ ଆମଠୁ କିଏ ଭଲରେ ବୁଝିପାରିବ କାହିଁକି ନା ଦିସ୍ ଇଜ ମଦର ଟଙ୍ଗ ଆପଣ ଜାଣିଛନ୍ତି ସେଟା. ତ ସେମିତି there are some people are there in the world that is their mother tongue. से मदर टंग जमती व्यवहार करती मु आपको एक्जाक्टली सेही पॉइंट रु मु आपको बुझाई पे चेष्टा करूची आपन जदी कहबे आई हैव डिवाइडेड द केक इनटू इन 4 पीसेस तो आपन किछ जणा पड़िबनी हां हां ठीक है चारिया भाग रे माने तो इन चलिबो ओके बट दैट इज नॉट यू नो पीपल आर कंप्लीटली मु जेमती कहूची आई वांट टू टेल यू समथिंग आई वांट टू स्पीक समथिंग आई वांट टू से समथिंग आई वांट टू टॉक समथिंग आपन कहबे हां कहबा ठीक हे गेला बट दे आर नॉट इक्वल आपन गोटे टॉक ओडिया रे अछि कहबा से कहबा स्पीक कहबा टेल कहबा हमें मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम कैन यू स्पीक इज द राइट टाइम टू स्पीक टू यू रॉन्ग अपन को सर काई रॉन्ग होला बिकॉज़ यू आर नॉट यूजिंग द नेटिव स्पीकर वे स्पीक माने खाली आपण कहबे मु सुनिबी दैट इज कॉल्ड सपोज मु कहूची बतन आई एम द स्पीकर राइट नाउ एंड यू गाइज आर लिसनिंग टू मी सो दैट इज कॉल्ड आई एम स्पीकिंग बट व्हेनेवर वी वांट टू टॉक तमने आपण कहबे मु सुनिबी आ आपण कहबे मु सुनिबी मु कहबी आपण सुनिबी दैट इज कॉल्ड टू वे कन्वर्सेशन सो मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम आपण देखिए तो सर इज द राइट टाइम टू टॉक टू यू कैन यू टॉक नॉट कैन यू स्पीक किंतु आपण देखिए मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम आई एम गेटिंग सर इज द राइट टाइम टू स्पीक टू यू रॉन्ग तो आपण कहबे सर मते के कहि नथले फॉरगेट अबाउट आपण के कहि नथले आपण एबे जानले तो so that's the thing whenever there is a chance to rectify yourself please rectify get rectified immediately so ओडिया रे आपण देखंतु टॉक माने कहिबा से माने कहिबा स्पीक माने कहिबा टेल माने कहिबा बट इंग्लिश रे जेतला हम यूज करछंती देयर इज अ ह्यूज डिफरेंस स्पीक माने देखंतु आपण माने समस्त सुनुछंती मु कहूची दैट इज फॉर स्पीक गाइस आई एम द स्पीकर टुडे दैट मींस आई हैव टू स्पीक एंड यू हैव टू लिसन दैट्स ऑल बट टॉक माने वी आर टॉकिंग दैट मीन आपण किछ सपोज माय फ्रेंड इज मुक्तिकांत सर तो मुक्तिकांत सर किछ कहिबे मु सुनिबी मु प्रतांगु प्रत्युत्तर देबी आई एम गोइंग टू रिप्लाई एंड आई एम गोइंग टू से समथिंग ही इज गोइंग टू रिप्लाई सो दिस इज a two way conversation when two way conversation happens that is something called talk not speak किंतु आपण कहउछंती सर कैन यू स्पीक स्पीक माने तो कहबा के कहला आपण कहया बोली आपण को से ओडिया डिक्शनरी से तो प्रॉब्लम होछ ना ओडिया डिक्शनरी लिखा है मु कोन करबी आई एम ट्राइंग टू से सम तो perspective of how a foreigner trying to interpret particular situation that's very important now everybody is are getting my point apa buji paruchanti what exactly I want to tell you yes or no
Yes, sir.
okay that's very important okay so let me tell you jodi actually apan ei anusar analysis kari padhibe obviously english becomes a cakewalk for you आपन को इंग्लिश ता संपूर्ण भाबे केकवक हे जिवो ओके otherwise it is going to be very herculean task it is not going to be a cakewalk for you absolutely you will not be thrilled sometimes you are losing interest आ देखंतु मु आपन गोटे कथा कहू change your perception change your mentality आपन mentality change कर दियंतु it's more about that you are supposed to change the mentality आपन approach change करंतु जे मते इंग्लिश सिखिबार अछि आपन एम्ति भाबंतु लेट यू लिटिल बिट ओडिया कारण आपन माने ओडिया छुआ मु मध्ये ओडिया छुआ तो मु चाहे मु कहबे पे चाहूची अपन जब गोटे लैंग्वेज शिखिबे अपन भाबिबे जे एटा मो लैंग्वेज नुहे दिस इज नॉट माय मदर टंग नो वे मते एटा पढिबार अछि बिकॉज़ आई हैव बीन यूजिंग एट ए सेकंड लैंग्वेज और ऑफिशियल लैंग्वेज आई वांट टू इंप्रूव माय पर्सनालिटी दैट्स ऑल तो याकू केमिति पढिबे ना जंदी गोटे फॉरेनर कोन भाबे एटा को मु सेई वे जदी पढिबे देन माय इंग्लिश बिकम्स नेचुरल एंड दिस इज कॉल्ड नेचुरल इंग्लिश अपन जेंति कहउछंदी सिंथेटिक दैट इज आर्टिफिशियल आपण जो ट्रांसलेशन कर दोछंती सेतर आर्टिफिशियल जिंसडा रहउछ नेचुरल आसुनी आपण देखंत ओडिया रे कोनला स्पीक माने कहिबा टॉक माने कहिबा आपण मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम ही इज टॉकिंग गुड इंग्लिश माय गॉड बिफोर लैंग्वेज स्पीक इज यूज ए स्पीकिंग गुड इंग्लिश से सत्य कथा कहउची ही स्पीकिंग द ट्रुथ से मिछ कथा होजी टेलिंग लाइज तो मिछ कथा पूर्व लाई लागिवो लाई पूर्वरु टेल लागिवो he is telling a lot of lies yaar apar ko he is saying lies he is talking lies to mu kon karibi I am helpless most of the time whenever I listen this kind of blunder jehetu apar mo se to achanti you I need some rectification inside you at least rectify yourself को जगह रे केमति को व्यवहार करियो we do have a very good things are there आपण सब जगह रे सबटा लगेई परिबेनी English is full of exception जेंति सार कहउतिले Sir, it is a lot of exceptions, sir. Of course. And that is why it is called English. That is why I'm here. And that is why you are also here. So most of the time when you're trying to speak English, try to understand how the foreigner used to speak his language. ଗୋଟେ ଫରେନର ଟା କେମିତି ଇଂଲିଶ କହୁଛି ସେଇଟା ଭାବନ୍ତୁ ଗୋଟେ ଓଡିଆ ପିଲା ତାକୁ ଟ୍ରାନ୍ସଲେସନ କରି କହୁଛି ଆମେ ପଣ୍ଡିତ ସେଇଥିରେ ମୁଁ ବି ପଣ୍ଡିତ ନୁହଁ କି ଆପଣ ପଣ୍ଡିତ ନୁହଁ କେହି ବି ପଣ୍ଡିତ ନୁହଁ ଆମେ କପି କରୁଛନ୍ତି I don't have any problems copying a native speaker. What is the problem? ଯଦି ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ନେଟିଭ ସ୍ପିକର କୁ କପି କରୁଛି ଆଉ ସେଇ ଅନୁସାରେ କହିବି because I want to learn. I don't want to get a PhD. I don't want to be don't want to get a Nobel Prize for that. What exactly I need, I want to be fluent. I want to speak it with anybody in the world. This is a global language. This is not meant for to speak your relatives. ମୋ ଜୀବନରେ ମୋ ମା ବାପାଙ୍କ ସହିତ କେତେବେଳେ ଇଂଲିଶରେ କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା ହେଇନି. Same things for you also. Whenever I spoke to my near and dear ones, I always speak in Oriya. But whenever it comes to professionalism, my entire mindset changes. I try to speak English. Exactly same thing happens, right? So this is very important. So I am trying to upon padle in now into ଭିତରେ difference କଣ ପଡିଲେ next time when you are going to make, I am going to tell you something called the difference between on and on to, right? So these are the preposition. What are the preposition available, changes is available, I am going to tell you. Now it's clear to everybody, yes or no? କିଛି doubt ରହିଗଲା? Clear to everybody? Okay, thank you all. See you guys tomorrow, and let me wind up the session for you. Thank you.